12 noon on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West.
And this is Reprint.
This isn't breaking headlines. This is a second look with context added for perspective.
This is Reprint, edited after the headlines.
Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. Good morning to the West Coast. Good afternoon to the East Coast. This is the Reprint, and I am Christal Jordan Jennings, your editor-in-chief, although my name tag does not say that right now.
Doesn't say that.
It does not. Here with my co-host, Victor Flavius, whose nameplate is right. He is the publisher of Lenox Parker. That is crazy. Let me try to change this name.
It's all good. We wear many hats, so we have to just play.
I usually have them organized, but the weekends always go too fast.
You tell me about it.
It comes too soon. I
Tell
can't
me about it.
ever stress how fast the Mondays come after the weekend. How was your weekend?
My weekend was quiet. It was actually it was busy. I did food shopping on Sunday, and this is like tedious, boring stuff. Food shopping on Sunday because I'm trying to meal prep for the week to eat healthy. I figured out, hey, my daughter, she shout out to my daughter Josie, who is currently right now in Hong Kong, on school, and so she left for the semester, and so I said, you know what, my wife and I got together. Let's get our meal planning together for the fall, so we can start getting back on track with diet.
Nice.
Summertime, you eat all of the pound cake and cookies and donuts and the barbecue foods, and you get to indulge a little bit. So that was my Sunday, pretty much doing that. Trying to get ready for the show on Monday and the week ahead, and But how was your weekend?
Really boring.
Really.
My weekend was boring. I am still taking care of a lot of puppies, and my honey's on the road. Hey Edna, but yeah, I was just taking care of puppies. I went to see one of my girlfriends, just because I just needed to take a break, and I did that. But it was pretty nothing, no big events like usual. It was pretty quiet, which I think sometimes is needed. So I just gotta enjoy that, even though it's hard for me to sit still. I'm like, I should be doing something, but it was good. I do want to say something because I saw several posts. Over the weekend about the fact that Black media was not covering a lot of things that are happening in today's news. And you know what? At first I was like, when I saw 3 different posts, and they said that Black media was not covering the outages that have happened in Indiana, the electric outages, the Georgia gubernatorial race. And I was thinking to myself, that is not true, because we have covered it. We have covered all of those things. And I think that a lot of times when people make blanket statements like that, they end up, being wrong. And or they may say, well, we were speaking to the bigger outlets, right? And, we're working and we're still building, and maybe we don't have the numbers of some of the
big outlets,
but to say that Black media is not covering that is not right. And I also wouldn't want to challenge some of the people saying that to realize that sometimes the outlets that are covering those things, you all are not supporting.
Right. True.
Someone said that the outlets are only covering relationship topics and celebrity gossip, but those are the outlets that you are supporting, and outlets like ourselves that are actually covering, news in our community and having conversations on how we can put ourselves in a better place. A lot of times we don't get the same support. If you don't have the numbers, then a lot of times people think that it's irrelevant, and that's really not true. And so I just want to say, number one, that I'm proud of us for, we do cover those things, even though we sometimes know they're not going to get the same attention. It's not going to go
True.
viral. If you're
Yeah.
talking about a clip talking about the electric outages in Gary, Indiana is not going to go viral. But we
No.
understand it's important to share that news. And I think that the two of us, we work really hard to make sure that we are having conversations that are informative and that are, essential to our community, whether our community always appreciates it or not, So I
Yeah.
just want to say I'm proud of us for doing that. And I'm also very thankful to those of you that are here all the time and do support us. We appreciate
Yes. I agree with you 100%. A lot of times it's hard for media because we're trying to find a balance between edutainment, I call it, where we educate people, entertain at the same time. And a lot of times, a lot of podcast people do stuff just for the TV, for the screen, for the polls, for the likes, for the clicks. And they go on these podcasts and they have these crazy sayings and crazy things. And like you said, the news is boring. And we don't want to cover that all the time. So we try to filter stuff in, but it's a hard thing to balance. But
it's a hard
like
balance. It is
yeah,
a hard balance.
yeah.
Thank you. Shouts out to my girl Ava, who was watching it. She just texted me. You guys should talk about. Say I should do more conversations about this, because that is an issue. I think that a lot of times that balance, and the only reason that we're committed to the balance is because we really, really care about our community. It would be a lot easier and we would be a lot more profitable just to say, to hell with it. let's just focus on the salacious stuff that is going to get attention. I appreciate that, Ava, and I will definitely, I need to call you anyway. But yeah, I think Tammy says those that do solely entertainment news are going to cover harder headlines. I don't know. Because like I said, sometimes those harder
cover
do not get the same attention. And in order to keep your advertisers happy and you got to keep your numbers up. But I just wanted to start out by saying that we have been working hard, and I'm proud of us for covering those topics that I know as a person that went to school and was a journalism major. I understand that, truth is important. And authenticity is important and integrity is important in journalism. But also, I spent most of my professional career as a publicist. So I also understand the importance for trending topics and things to get moving and things that are going to get moving. So we try to walk the line and do it in a way that brings integrity. We have a couple of guests joining us today to have a conversation I'm looking forward to. But before we get into that, I saw something that I wanted to say. I saw something online, and I felt like this was concerning, so I want to mention it here. I saw that there was a group text. This was something that was shared on TikTok of over 400,000 racist Caucasians saying that when African Americans visit their restaurants, Texas Roadhouse, and there's another restaurant, they were spitting in the food. It's crazy. And,
I saw that. Yeah.
See that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Texas Roadhouse, Logan Steakhouse, and others. And it's crazy because thank you, Jala. I went to eat with a girlfriend this weekend, and Victor, I got deathly sick. I was still not feeling well yesterday, but I think I have a sensitive stomach, because this is like the second or third time in a couple of years I've gotten just really, really sick, violently sick from eating out. And it made me think, you know what? I don't want to eat. I want to.
What was the cuisine?
And you know what? I had a salad with salmon, a grilled, supposed to be grilled salmon. It ended up being pan seared, but the salmon must have been, seafood is
tricky.
I've always gotten sick with seafood. The last time I got sick, it was shrimp. And then this was salmon. Yes, she was like, "Girl, maybe you're allergic to seafood." But
did she get sick?
She did not get sick, but she didn't have the salmon. She had a burger. And but in any case, it made me think. because I told her, I said, you know what? I keep telling myself, I feel better when I eat at home. I feel better when I can prepare my meals, when I can when I cook. I've been doing a lot more cooking. Since I have more time, my kids are gone. I actually have time to cook. I'm not racing and running. But I think that, and then hearing that on TikTok, and I'm sure Tammy says I eat at Logan's and I've never had an issue. I hope no one has an issue, but it was concerning. And I think you just take the information, do what you will with it. But I just think that for me, I'm going to do a lot less eating out, or eating in, and really being in charge of making sure that my food is healthy and clean, and all the things that you can try to do. It just made me kind of recommit to that.
Let's bring back eating out once a week. I mean, on the weekends, go on a date with your husband or significant other and eat at a good restaurant, and also one thing I learned about restaurants, I'm sure the one you went to was clean, but check the bathrooms. If the bathrooms are dirty, then I don't eat there. If it's not a lot of people, traffic, I don't eat there because I want the food and rotation to be moving,
Yeah.
But sometimes it's you hit or miss. Sometimes it just is what it is,
It is.
Get some salad and
And it was salad. I thought I was doing good because I got
salad and fish.
I mean, a garden salad with salmon.
It could have been the lettuce. It could have been the lettuce.
That's what she said. She's like, it could be the lettuce because when I was in Nashville, I went to a restaurant, and chili, of course, was always like, Christal, be careful. It's like the lettuce. It's there's been, and for what they recall the lettuce on, we never know the extent if it's just there or other places. But in any case, I just wanted to say, you guys be careful and just think before you eat and just pray over your food and do what we can.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad you're feeling better.
I am. I was down. I mean, we went Saturday for like a late lunch, and I was down. I was like, I think I am good on seafood. But before our guests come on, I have an interesting little tidbit. Spider-Man continues to be #1 at the box office. Have you seen the new Spider-Man?
I have not yet.
So my son saw it, and he's the biggest. Stone is the biggest Spider-Man. Marvel, but Spider-Man specifically. We should have had him on to talk about that. We'll have to have him come on when he does politics, and because he's very much a fan of this new Spider-Man. 4th straight weekend #1 at the box office, earning an estimated $39 million and bringing the domestic total to $854 million. It is set to bypass Avengers as the second highest grossing movie domestically, and also the movie that I literally wanted to see, Odyssey. I still haven't seen it, but Odyssey moved into 3rd place this weekend, earning $19.5 million at the box office, but has become the director's highest grossing film ever with $539 million domestically and $1.4 billion nationwide. Oh my gosh. Like, these movies make so much money. We spend so much money on entertainment. But that led me to think about this. So Will Smith has allegedly, people are saying that Will Smith wants another shot at the Oscars 4 years after the infamous Chris Rock slap at the 2022 Oscars. Will Smith is reportedly hoping the Academy will reconsider his 10-year ban and allow him to attend, according to a source cited by EUR Web. That's a crazy slide right there. Will Smith has apologized to Chris Rock, but remains frustrated that Chris Rock has not accepted the apology, or at least not responded to it verbally, and has moved on from the incident. The report also suggests that a reconciliation between the two could potentially make it easier for the Academy to reconsider Smith's ban. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, I think the Academy is one thing, but Chris Rock, the apology from him needs to come from him. I know they have a long-standing type of behind-the-scenes beef. Him, Jada, they have a relationship, so it's kind of weird. But I mean, that's their business. However they want to go about doing it, and Chris Rock totally could, doesn't have to forgive Will Smith if he doesn't want to. But that's something that they both have to work out, and we could see growth at some point in their lives. But I mean, that was done on national television, and hopefully he apologized again. I don't know. It's hard because you get slapped on national television by another black person, by another man. It's very belittling. It's hard.
I can tell you all right now, maybe I'm petty. I'm never, don't reach out to me. Leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. I never want to talk to you. I never want to be in the same vicinity as you
that was
are.
bad.
Because for you to be a grown man and not able to control yourself and to do something to demean, to belittle, not just in front of a nationwide audience, but also in front of my children. My daughters had to watch. I'm good, sir.
Yeah. Now, what I don't know is, was there any behind the scenes context between them two? Was it joke? Because a lot of these times these jokes.
What context?
Well, what I'm saying is a lot of times these things are written and the teleprompter puts it up, so you have to get it approved by parties and powers that be. So I'm not sure if it was approved or whatever the case was, and he didn't approve it. Whatever the case is, that could be something that's. Because Chris Rock could have been like, okay, I sent this joke in, it was approved by Will Smith and Jada, and here he is attacking me, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't. A lot of times these huge shows, the teleprompters put the stuff up, and it's you go through months of approval. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm not saying the slap was granted, was warranted. I'm just saying. I don't know if they had some type of agreement before that caused Will Smith to act in that fashion.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to say no. But you know what? Let's ask our guest. Let's ask today's guest. He's returning to us again. Keith L. Brown, motivational speaker, one of my favorite people to see in the city. He's, like I said, motivational speaker, coach, and youth inspire executive coach, motivational speaker. He is Keith L. Brown. Please help us welcome Keith back to the Reprint.
Well, good morning. Happy Monday. Creative Christal, victorious Victor. It's so good to be back.
What's happening?
GOODJOB. Good job. It's a magnificent Monday, y'all. Listen, Monday stands for My Optimism Now Declares a Yes. Monday. My optimism now declares a yes. Let me start off like this. Let me just say this. I was a huge fan of Chris Rock, still am. I was a huge fan of Will Smith. But let me just say this. When it comes to that incident, I believe it was selective rage, because I believe if Chris Rock were the Rock, okay, then that incident would have never happened. I believe let me say that again. Let me say that loud and clear for the listening audience. I believe that it was selective rage. And if Chris Rock were the Rock, then Will Smith would have never gotten out of that chair. So I believe it was selective rage. Okay. I don't believe he snapped. I don't believe there was just a moment of unclarity. I believe that, honestly, Crystal and Victor, I believe that he was forced to do that. There was something on the inside, because of the person sitting to his left. Okay. And I believe that in that moment, he got up, he approached the stage, and he violently assaulted that black man who was hosting. And I believe that Chris Rock showed great restraint. I believe that he showed great restraint in that moment. So it was unfortunate, but I do not blame Chris Rock at all. Okay. Because there was laughter. If we look at it, there was laughter even before that. Okay. There was laughter before that.
Let me ask you this, Keith, because like I said, I fall short sometimes in my mental health journey. I fall short as a person, just in my maturity, where I think I want to be mature. But I know if I were in Chris Rock's shoes, I would not ever have anything to say to Will Smith again in life. Like we're good, we're done. It doesn't mean that I'm carrying hatred towards you, but I can forgive you, but we never need to have words again, and we never need to be in the same space again. People are saying that a potential reconciliation between Chris Rock and Will Smith could convince the Academy to allow Will Smith to return before the 10-year ban. Do you feel like Chris Rock should be open, or would you be open to reconciling with Will Smith after the incident?
That's a very difficult question because
Hmm.
once again, as my good brother Victor said, you publicly humiliated me. You
Yeah.
you publicly assaulted me, and so I would be thinking that the reconciliation is not genuine, it's not sincere, because if the end result of the reconciliation is moving you closer to having the ban reduced, then that's doing it for selfish motives. There's some
Right.
selfish motive
Right.
there. So yes, I forgive you, but I'm of the opinion I can pray for you, but I don't have to stay for you. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I can pray for you, but I don't have to stay for you. And listen, Chris Rock has the right to preserve his own mental health in that moment. And so, yeah,
Agreed.
I definitely would not want to have a public or a private reconciliation.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
We're
I
good.
agree.
I do
I
not
agree.
need that to move on. But we're talking. We invited you here because the headlines we've been covering lately, specifically in terms of young people, have been extremely discouraging. And I think what people don't always understand is the news can be triggering to one's mental health.
Yes.
A lot of these cases involve young people. We're going to be talking a little bit in just a bit about the Carmelo Anthony case, and more about this Nolan Wells case, which involves young people that are still in high school, not just young people, but children. They're under the age of 18. As I was looking at the correspondence with some of the people that were, talking about this case, and you see, even in the situation with Carmelo Anthony, we see that this weekend we learned that there were some very shocking and volatile texts that he was sharing, that he was sending to a girlfriend, talking about potentially unaliving people, just a violent nature revealed in that. Also, the young man who was unalived, he had a violent nature, a lot of mental health issues. And so I just wanted to have you come on and let's, just talk a little bit about parents and how we can make sure that when our children are hearing these stories and they're in school and they're hearing, a lot of things that could be triggering for them, how should parents, kind of navigate that? And then even us as a community, because you hear so many things. I think we have a photo I have of like, 10 or to 12 young people in the last year that have, that we see. This is basically termed it racial terror, so you see all these young people, 21, 25, 28, 21, going through issues that we really should not be dealing with. How should we be talking to our children, during these times, and encouraging them, and also, monitoring them for if we do see signs in them, making sure that they have the help that they need.
I love that, and I appreciate you all for covering this vital topic because so many times our young people and young adults is primarily, especially our young adults who are in college or those who are not, but when they're in their 20s. I have a 31-year-old son, okay, and my wife and we're always on the pulse of his mental health, checking on him. How are you? What's going on? As a matter of fact, we believe in our family we have God and a therapist, okay. And so one of the most powerful moments in my life is sitting, my son and we love to sit on the couch and we love to watch football together. But our most powerful moments have been us sitting on the couch of our therapist together, where I'm leaning on my son and he's leaning on me. And I think that's very important that we don't just take it for granted that our young people are fine because, they're just okay. Okay, they're just okay. No, it doesn't matter if your child is in middle school at 13 or 23. I would encourage parents to check in on the mental wellness of your children. Just like I know growing up, even as an adult, my parents wouldn't go to sleep until they knew I was in the house safe. And that's the same thing. I want to make sure my son is safe. Parents, let me say this. We have to validate our young people. That's number one, Crystal. We have to validate our children. So many of them are looking for that validation. And when we don't give it to them, they look for it outside of us. They look for it in the wrong places. And when they don't have that validation and they get it from the wrong places and the wrong people, then you see a negative there's always a negative outcome. And so the first thing I want to say to parents is this: validate your children. Let them know that they matter. Okay, let them know that they matter. Let them know you love them. Tell them you love them every day. I still kiss my son on the cheek. I let him know every day when I see my son, I love you. And I think that's so very important, because so many of our young people, they don't feel that love. Yeah, they're getting likes on social media, but they're not getting a lot of love. And so the reason that they're so engrossed in social media the way they are is because they're looking for validation. They're looking for that. And then the other thing is this: accountability. Accountability. I'm always checking in with my son, even at 31, saying, that's not right, son. You made a bad choice. And watch this. As parents, we have to be willing to say when we're wrong. We have to be
Yep.
willing to apologize. Y'all know when we were coming up, what was the rule? Don't do as I do, do as I say.
So, yep.
No.
Mhm.
In these days, out of fear,
Yep.
they will do as you say. But out of your example, they will do as you do. So I do my best to be a model, not only for my son and nieces and nephews, but for the thousands of young people and young adults that I mentor that call me Uncle Keith. So number one, validate your children. Number two, talk to them. Do that pulse check. Check in on their mental wellness. Number three, hold them accountable, but lovingly do so. And number four, be willing. Be willing to apologize when you make a mistake as a parent, as an adult, as a teacher, a counselor, a coach. I think that's very important, because guess what? Young people are hurting. Young adults are hurting. That's why you put those pictures up, Crystal, because they're hurting. We lost a nephew, a beautiful nephew, to death by suicide. Okay, 27 years old, a leader, an
Wow.
engineer, a college graduate, a young man of God, and he was battling mental health in the village. We loved him, but that has torn our family apart. Listen, I'm speaking at more young black males' funerals than graduations. There's a problem with that. Okay?
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why
Wow.
I wanted us to start with this way of talking about this conversation. We talked, and we like I said, Dennis Byron's going to come on in a little bit with a lot of the statistics behind these cases, and we see Al Sharpton and attorney Benjamin Crump, and so many people are fighting for things, but what can we do proactively before these things happen? I'm going
absolutely.
to ask you outright, Keith, when I saw the messages between Carmelo Anthony, these alleged messages, and this young lady that he was dating, it broke my heart. And I
Yes.
thought, wow, as a mother, because I'm a mother of a son who, my son, I raised him for the most part, half his life as a single mother. He did not always share with me how he was feeling, and my
Yes.
father would tell me later, well, Mom, I was really upset about this breakup, or, he was really, really depressed over a breakup at one time, and he didn't share that with me. And I felt like, man, I wish I could have gotten through to him. I just want to ask your opinion, you being a mentor and coach to so many young people, what should we be looking for specifically when it comes to young men? Because I'm certain that his parents weren't aware of the kind of conversation that he was having with this young lady and potentially others.
Well, let me say this. One of the things that we can look for, especially with our young men, it starts before we even look for signs. We have to make it okay for our young men to communicate with us. We have to make it okay for our young men to be emotional, to be, we always tell young men, real men don't cry. Okay. And that's one of the most damaging things that we can do to black boys, to kill black
Yep.
boy joy, young men. And because when we tell them that they don't cry, then we're letting them know that what we're doing then, Crystal and Victor, what we're doing is dehumanizing them. And that means we're turning human beings into animals, right? And so when we tell them, don't show your emotions, don't cry, then we want them to talk to us, but we have shut down their emotional being. We have shut them down. You can't cry. You can't show emotions. So why would they talk to us? So now they go in the room, they close the door, they're shut off from us. And then we want them to open up. So one of the things I say to parents is make it okay for your child, especially your young boys and your young adult boys and your teenage boys. Make it okay for them to be emotional. Make it okay for them to cry. Make it okay for them to come and talk to you. That's so very important. I have so many DMs on my social media from young black boys, young black males. I'm Crystal. I'm at assemblies afterwards. They speaking to me backstage, crying in my arms. Okay, because they never got an opportunity to cry. They don't get an opportunity to do that in the community or at home. So I would say, as a community, we have to retrain our young boys and our young men and make it okay for them to open up, to talk, to cry. So when that happens, then they feel safe. They feel safe, and then they can open up. That's very important. Let me say this too. Can I throw this out there?
Go
One of
ahead.
the things that we have to stop as a community and as a society is what I call the adultification of young black males and young black females. Listen, we have 16-year-olds and 16-year-old black males, and society is looking at them like they're grown men. 14 years old, and society is looking at them like they're grown men. You have 8-year-old boys in homes who are being told you're the man of the house. He's not the man of the house. He's
Right.
8 years old. He's
Yeah.
that's listen, y'all, that's a heavy weight to carry at 8 and 10 and 12. So we have to let them be boys, let them be young men, give them the ability and the room to grow up. Okay, so that they're not in a situation like Carmelo Anthony when you have these exchanges going on. And guess what? At the end of the day, give them these affirmations. I love myself. I believe in myself. I'm proud of myself. I'm a genius. We have to start what? Affirming our young black boys so that even when they get in relationships, they don't go haywire if the relationship ends. We have to teach them to love themselves enough that you don't depend on anyone outside of yourself to validate who you are. And that starts in our homes, that starts in our communities. You understand? And that's a huge solution because we see that watch this. Have y'all seen the Instagram and the TikTok profiles of our teenagers when it says relationship status? They 14 years old in middle school and it says it's complicated. Are you kidding me, y'all? Come on, y'all.
Wow, that's crazy.
Y'all, come on, let's keep it real,
Wow.
y'all.
Yeah, yeah.
We are allowing our 12, 13, and 14-year-old
Complicated.
adolescent children to be in adult relationships, and we think it's cute. It's not cute.
It's
No.
not. And you
No.
know what? To your point, I know my son, because you just don't, boys can often be stoic and you think they're okay, but that doesn't
Yes.
mean that they're okay. It just means that they're quiet and it's all happening in here. And a lot of times as a mom, you see that I have several girlfriends and their sons really struggling with breakups with girls, and we don't talk about that, right? We just say, oh, he's fine. You can get a whole bunch of girls. But obviously that is not that is not the reality. And I think as a mother, I mean, my son is 28 now.
Yes.
So he's at a different point where now I'm not disciplining him and doing that. I'm just someone that is checking on him and letting him know that he's loved and he's connected, right? But
Right.
I think that we do sometimes, I know for myself, I've been guilty of just assuming it's not a big deal. It's a bunch of girls out there. You never think, we don't see boys. We think of heartbreak and people spazzing out, and we don't realize that boys are sometimes struggling with that. In that particular case that we're talking about with Carmelo Anthony, this young lady was trying to break up with him.
Yes.
Threatening to unalive her. And we've seen that happen so many times. And I don't think I've ever thought of it as a response to him not being able to handle the grief of going through heartbreak. I've never ever interpreted that way.
Oh, listen, it's real because they have feelings just like we have feelings. So let me say this. I don't want to minimize their feelings. I'm simply saying that as a community, we don't want to make relationships their top priority. And they see that a lot of times. And it's a lot of times it's like that on social media. That's their top priority. We see now that there's more emphasis placed on proms than graduation.
Huh. Yeah.
Let's be
On
real. Let's be
marriages
real
too.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm seeing these situations where I'm talking to young black men all the time and I'm telling them how important they are individually. You're important. You matter. Okay, if you matter, your feelings matter, and I believe we have to do that, especially with our black boys in a society that places them in manhood at 12 years old and 13. Let's be clear. I speak to young men of all races, young women of all races across the world, but nobody faces what young black males are facing in terms of systematic labeling and stereotyping. You see what I'm talking about? So
Yep.
my heart goes out to that young lady and Carmelo Anthony. And my thing is, as parents, that's
Right.
why. Listen, real talk. Who's paying the cell phone bill? Let, let, let's
Mm,
let, let, let's let's go even a little deeper. Who's
yeah.
paying the cell phone bill of a 15-year-old, of a 16-year-old? You understand? I need to know certain things. I don't need your room door locked for 12 hours a day in my home. Okay?
Nope.
There
Hmm.
needs to be some communication. We might not eat together at the dinner table every day. We know that's not realistic all the time like we did back in the day, but there's some communication. I'm taking my son out as a teenager. We going to hoop. All right,
Yep.
I'm talking to fathers now. Take your
Right.
son out to the court, take his friends out, go to the mall, do some of the things that your children like.
Right.
Okay, not just what you like to do. Hang out with your kids sometime, and they love that. They love that. Their friends want that. Become the community dad or the community mom, but whatever you do, stay aligned with your young people. Talk to your young people. Make it okay for them to come to you as a source and talk to you. I had my son and neighbors back in the day. I'm talking about they were in elementary school and we were watching Boys in the Hood. Now, a lot of parents would frown on that. You let your elementary school age son, watch Boys in the Hood? Yes. And his friends. And we talked about it. Okay. We talked about it. And so I just believe as parents, as adults, as a community, we have to open up to our children more. We need to know their language, right? We need to know their language. We need to know their trends. We need to know all of that. So then they'll open up to us. It's very important.
I think that our community kind of misstepped a while back. We focused a lot more on education and a lot more on financial economics in the community as far as going to school, getting the bag, going to school, making money. But then when it comes down to mental health and in the home, that was something we didn't even talk about because it was taboo in the black community. You can't cry as a
Yes.
man, as a boy, be strong, man up, man up. That's all we hear is man up, you know. And if a woman sees a guy that's crying or he's emotional, oh, you just, you're not being a man about things, you know.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're seeing a change in the way how things are going now, and we start to see, our community come back around. And this time, mental health is a major thing here in America, especially in our community. So I'm
Oh,
hoping.
absolutely.
So different than it was
Yeah.
because, to your point, Keith, about social media. I want to bring Dennis Byron on. Dennis is here with some updates to. Dennis is going to join us with some updates on both the Nolan Wells situation. Nolan Wells, it's not a trial; it's a incident at this point. I'll let Dennis kind of share, but there was a letter that was directed towards Reverend Al Sharpton, and coincidentally, instead of focusing on the fact that we're still trying to figure out what happened to this young man, the mental health and the safety and the protection of 3 other boys that were there is the focus of this letter.
Good afternoon, and great seeing you again, Crystal. Good afternoon, Victor, and good afternoon, Keith Brown. Keith L. Brown. I need to go get my hat, by the way. I don't have a hat on.
You look good though, brother. Always good to see you, Doc.
I didn't know I was walking into a fashion show here. If I knew that, I would have been prepared.
Oh, come on.
It's on the bill. It's gonna be a situation.
I'm feeling timid now. I'm timid over here. You might have to psychoanalyze what's going on here. So yes, we earlier we talked about the interesting quote unquote warning letter that was sent out to the Reverend Al Sharpton, or at least I don't know if he's in receipt of it, but I know it hit social media quicker than it probably hit his desk. In that letter, as Crystal and I went over this morning, it basically accused him of harming his clients, these 3 boys. but it was nothing that I heard prior to this letter from the NABJ where the Reverend spoke specific about any particular boy. I mean, he generalized, which is very smart. But the lawyer kept on naming these individuals. For those who didn't even know who the boys' names were, they were named by this attorney and not by the Reverend Al Sharpton per se. So I thought I think it was it was more to communicate with the public and responding to what he said at the NABJ rather than sending that letter to him directly. Because, at the end of the day, this letter came out on the weekend. So I don't think, unless they hand deliver it to him, they don't know where the Reverend's at. He might be on the treadmill in the morning, but I don't think they knew that he knew that the letter. He probably learned about it on social media, like they were stalking his presence at the NABJ allegedly. But so yeah, we did speak about that this morning. I thought that was interesting that we're trying to get to the bottom of what happened to Nolan Wells on July 4th.
I think that it's interesting to me because Dennis, before you joined, we were talking to Keith about just the mental health and protecting our young Black boys and how often they are positioned and viewed and treated as adults. And it's interesting to see the way that this community in Mississippi has really gathered around and is attempting to shield these young white boys and these young white teenagers that were also here. I mean, I know for myself as a parent, regardless of what color you are, your job is to take care of your child. And so I do understand their desire to protect and shield and keep public scrutiny away from their children, but we also need the truth in this situation. What do you think about just the way that the court system, the police, and just the way the public in that area have treated these boys as children? They're making sure that we understand that they are students. These are not adults, as opposed to the way often African American boys are seen. In fact, tried as adults, looked at as adults. But you see this very, very different way of shielding and protecting and making sure that these boys are not labeled as men. They're constantly referred to as boys.
Who's that directed to?
Actually, do you think that there's an issue with the way that they are, that the community has really come to support them, and we don't see that same support or even concern when it comes to the boy that has been unalived?
I mean, if I can be quite honest, it feels like it gives me more reason to believe that something nefarious happened, because everything that I saw from the time that Nolan went missing, coming from the interview that Warren did with Officer Tatum to subsequent responses by law enforcement as to the threats that the family of Nolan Wells received, it's a real disconnect there. And I think that's obvious to many people that other side is taking more of a defensive approach to the situation rather than essentially showing, I don't know, the care and concern is just not there. And I want to apologize to everyone. There's a trial happening right now, and I'm supposed to be streaming the trial, and the judge just took the bench. So we're kind of toggling between being here, and there's an important motion being argued right now. So I do apologize. I think, Christal, I'm covering the Keefe D trial.
Yes, and I know, Victor, Dennis, if we need to let you go, because I know we need to, that is an important trial. Dennis is covering the Keefe D trial. We're going to talk a little bit about that. It's very interesting that after almost 30 years of Tupac Shakur, after his death, this case is finally coming to light. There's a lot of interesting tidbits. Dennis, maybe you can come back later and share some of the things.
Absolutely. There's an interesting argument being made now by the defense, trying to get evidence in that wasn't supposed to be in. So I'm really trying to, I want to be here, guys. But this, for those who don't know, I interviewed Tupac back in the 90s.
Wow.
And I covered his trial. So, this is, like I need to be able to bring this content back to Victor and Christal and hopefully Keith, when I come back. But guys, I appreciate you. If I can pop back in, I will.
Appreciate you.
Okay, thanks, Dennis.
Thank you, guys.
So, Crystal, let me jump in on that. What you just asked him about, I think that was so relevant. That question was so powerful, relevant right now in this moment, because as you know, like I said, I travel the world speaking in communities, school districts, colleges and universities, family advocacy agencies, and so I serve all races, ethnicities, and cultures. It's very troubling to me when I think of, and I'm gonna throw out a couple of names. One of the names is Jared Lee Loeffner, for example. And for your listening audience, Jared Lee Loeffner was able to go to an event in Arizona with a duffel bag. He was able to go to a political event in Arizona with a duffel bag. This young white male was able to go there with a hoodie, sagging pants, and a duffel bag. Young white male with law enforcement present with a duffel bag in line. Watch this. No one said anything. He was able to get to the front, pull out a weapon, and shoot Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords point blank. We know about that case. Remember that case, right? But more importantly, why was this young white male allowed to have a duffel bag at a congressional event with Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords and no one said anything? It's because of perception. See, if he were a young man of color, a young black male, he would not have made it to the front of the line. Why is it that Eric and Dylan were riding through a neighborhood in Littleton, Colorado, waving guns out of the window, and individuals were saying, "Oh, boys will be boys, not our children"? Now, they were bullied at Columbine, but how do you walk into a school with trench coats on and no one says anything? And now we know what happened with the Columbine massacre, but these were two young white males who were classified as what? Not harmful, not dangerous. Let's think about the young man in Charleston, South Carolina, who went in a church and sat in the back of the church. And of course, he murdered, black individuals at I believe it was Mother Emanuel, Mother Bethel, whatever the church was. And then subsequently, the authorities made a pit stop by Burger King to get him something to eat, to make sure that if you're hungry, we want to feed you before we take you into custody. Would that have been afforded to a young black male? And so when you ask that question, there is this double standard. Once again, I pointed that all out because in all three of those cases, those young white males were treated like children.
Right.
And youth. However, Mike Brown, because I was there, in Ferguson, the next day, boots on the ground, Mike Brown was treated as an adult. Trayvon Martin was treated like an adult. Tamir Rice, Tamir Rice at a park, a little boy was treated like an adult. And so, yes, there is a double standard. Young black males as teenagers are treated as an adult. Young white males as teenagers are treated as such.
Right.
Yep. You're right. Double standard.
Therein lies the problem. Even with the young man here that not far from where I live, that went in and shot 4 people at his school. He was able to get a fair trial, where so often, if something happens with a person of color, they don't even make it because they're shot. The police shoot them. We were talking earlier today. I was talking to Victor. He was talking about the woman, Sonia, that was killed by a police officer in her home because she said something and he took it as a threat. With the names that you mentioned, those boys were killed before there was any thought. In these cases, we know that this young man opened fire, but
Yes.
given the grace and treated as a child, right? Treated with grace, with concern. And even in this situation, I'm not saying that we don't know what happened with the Nolan Wells situation. It does feel to me the fact that the parents and community, that the lawyers are all working so diligently to make sure that we remember that these are kids and trying to protect them and showing no concern, no empathy, no consideration to the parents of Nolan Wells and his family. It just is very suspect. But I think it goes back to, we can't focus on what has happened. We have to look at the root cause of this. And I think what you're saying, Keith, is so true. We see, even we are guilty. You see a young Black boy, and if you get a young Black boy that's 5'11", got hair on his face, and he looks mature, he may even act mature, because we know young people can act mannish or this way. That's just part of being a teenager. But when we break it down, white parents are going to validate but they're not going to hold their children accountable.
Correct.
But everybody is holding a Black child accountable as an adult, even when their mental lobe in their brain is not closed until well into their 20s. A 12-year-old, a 14-year-old Black young man is treated as a grown man. And that is part of the issue, I think, with the way we look, the way that juries are being presented information, and we're getting to verdicts that are excusing and making allowances for others. And when it comes to our children, there is no mercy.
Absolutely. We see that in our schools. We see the disciplinary rates. We see the expulsion rates with young Black males, young Black females, and things of that nature. The perception is real, Christal. I want to shift and stay on the topic, but I want to shift as well. I want our community. I'm doing my best. I would love for us to abolish the term YN, and we know what YN stand for. Now, let's say this: when you start labeling young men as YNs, what if Nolan Wells is looked at as a YN now? Okay, this bright child. I'm gonna say that this bright child. Okay, this scholar athlete, this bright child who lost his life. What if society looks at him as just another YN, and that term, right, originated in our communities? I don't want my son, my nephews, I don't want young Black males to be seen as YNs. Why can't they be seen as young geniuses, as young kings, as young men of excellence? Why do we have to? Because what happens is this: we look at it as innocent in our communities, but Christal, you just said something. The greater community, once they are labeled, Victor, you know this, once they are labeled as thugs, as troublesome, as degenerates, once they are labeled like that, that label is dangerous, especially when they are confronted with law enforcement and others. Okay, because if you see my son as an animal, you're going to treat him like that. If you see him as a human being, you're going to have a little more empathy. But we got to get rid of this term YN. And you know what? Listen, y'all, the YN term didn't come from young people. All right.
No,
Victor said it earlier. Victor said that came from adults. So as adults, listen to me, as adults, we have to hold ourselves accountable for how we label our children, how we talk to them, how we communicate with them, how we love on them. Watch this. We got to stop telling our 18-year-old son, 16-year-old son, when you turn 18, you're going to get out of here. You're going to get out of the house. Look, he might not listen. Yeah, we want them to do something productive, right? We want them to do something productive. We want you to go to college or technical college or the military or what. We want you to be productive. But I wasn't about to tell my 18-year-old son that I'm kicking you out at 18, and like Chris he ain't even fully developed yet. Is there, Victor, you said it, is there a plan? Is there a plan in place? But we just do that. When you turn 18, you're going to get out of here. Do you think they're telling their sons that in other communities? No. They're still developing their sons and daughters, and it's more so our sons. When you turn 18, you're going to get out of here. What if your 16-year-old son has no skills, and you tell him at 18 he's going to get out of here, and then he goes and does something illegal, okay? So that he can get the bag, so that when he's 18, he can get out. Now, who do we blame for that? We set the foundation for that. So I just want to
Yeah,
throw that
sure.
out as well.
Yeah.
As a community, let's stop labeling them all of these negative terms, and let's stop putting unrealistic expectations on our children without giving them the foundation to reach these expectations.
Also, I want to add what you just said. That's powerful. But what you just said made me thought about the young thug going to the school last week and speaking to the kids, not letting everybody listen to you. Not letting your kids listen to everybody who have a mic, pretty much, because that's what happens, and they get influenced by it. And you, as a parent, you have your own daily struggles to go through. The job, the keeping a roof over your head, and then you got to go through relationship issues yourself. You're going through, and men and women battle different things, and everybody have emotional baggage that they're carrying with since they were kids, and now you have a kid, and it's just all over the place. And then your kid goes to school, and here young thug tells them, "Fame is the only thing that matters." This is
Can you
crazy.
speak about that? Because I know you chimed in last week.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is happening? Because I don't want to say one thing before I'm gonna let you have the floor. Because I think I will take the challenge and of not using that term YNs. Because it's something that we laugh about. But you're right, words are very powerful. But I want to give you an example. I was in Buckhead a few months ago, and I was a girlfriend of mine was having her birthday at Benihana's. I wouldn't necessarily have picked that place because it has been overrun with young people. And
Yes.
would say
Oh, yeah.
it was the people that we formerly referred to as the YNs, right?
Yeah, right.
Now, my concern, I just want some balance, because I agree that we need to be speaking life into our children. And I see, when I think of my children, I think of the community, because I only have two. I did not birth many children, but I do see, when I see young boys out there, I think that could be my son, right? Or that could be my nephew. He's a part of my community. However, I did not see, when I look at these young men in the Benihanas, they were not carrying themselves as young geniuses.
Oh, yes.
Things, okay?
I feel you.
They
Look.
were not carrying themselves. So when I would automatically, anyone looking at them, you say, well, why don't we call them young geniuses? That is not the behavior that was happening. They were not dressed appropriately to be in a fine dining establishment.
Yes.
They were taking pictures. They were flashing money, wads of money. I don't know how they were able to procure those amounts of money without doing something that might have been illegal. It was not the energy of a young king. So
I love it.
I was out, and then at another time, this police officer said to me, he said, be careful, Christal, because these 13-year-olds out here will rob you blind. They don't look at you and see an auntie. They look at you and see a woman they can take advantage of. How do we balance that? Because I am a Black woman, and in certain situations, I am afraid of young Black
Right.
men. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
and I hate to say that, but I have to be honest.
No.
It's truth.
No.
It's truth.
Yeah, I don't want you to hate to say that. I want you to say that. I was in the mall with my better half, and we were in the mall. I'm not even going to say what mall, right? But we're in the mall, and young people, what time it is in the malls. The young people talking all kind of way, looking all kind of way, saying all kind of things. Let me just say this, and I'm going to put it out there on a universal tip. Christal, when it's young men, it's not your responsibility to say something. Okay, you see my good brother. You see my good brother Victorious Vic right there. You see him with all that flav. You understand? Look. You see with all. Yeah, come on now, brother. So you know whose responsibility it is? It's my responsibility. It's his responsibility. But watch this. It's also our approach.
Yeah.
True.
So I'm not just running up to them talking about, hey man, pull your pants up. Hey, you don't be talking like that. No, I'm coming up with a different approach. Okay, a different approach. And I approach young men like this all the time. And I've had even in my own home where my better half would say, you got to be very careful because you don't know who you're walking up on, even when you're being respectful. And I get that and I understand that. But I do know most of the time, 90% of the time, my approach works. And I do walk up to them and I have a conversation. And a lot of time they say, my bad, Unc, you right. So now they call me Uncle Keith. Watch this, or they'll say, "You right, OG, you right." So once again, I'm not just talking about Vic and me. I'm just saying if more black men would
True.
be able to take that approach,
Yeah.
to go up to them, to talk to them, to speak to them, and watch this. When I walk away from them, they might keep doing the same thing, you know. But I've seen
True.
I've
Yeah.
seen
True.
yeah, I've seen situations where I've done that, and I go back to the same place, the same rec center, the same park, and they doing all kind. And then when I walk up, the climate changes. They do show that respect. So I do take it upon black men, Crystal. Watch this. I take it upon black men now to stand up for you, for my better half, for black mothers, black sisters, black daughters, black men. Let me just say this. Until men in our communities stand up, our communities won't change. Our communities won't change. I'm just going to be real with you. And so, yes, they were not exhibiting the right behavior. We see that all the time. And so I'm telling you, I am one of those who's willing to go up and talk to them. Hey man, how y'all doing today? Y'all good? Man, I might pull out a $10 bill at the local gas station and say, hey, y'all, we at QT, right? Shameless plug. Hey, y'all want something to drink? No, we could. Nah, come on, get something to drink. Okay, OG. So we getting the potato chips, y'all. I travel with waters in my car. You know, they talk about the water boys who out there as entrepreneurs. I'm one of the water men because I'm giving out waters and get whatever we can do. But Crystal, you are absolutely right when you say that. A lot of our young people are not carrying themselves in the right way. I think what I'm talking about, and you're absolutely right. What I'm talking about is just the stereotypical labeling that many times that we place on all of our young people, because your son is not a YN. My son, my nephew, see, and that's there lies the problem. How do we distinguish between who's the YN and who's the young genius?
Yeah.
How do right? How do we distinct? Because guess what? The way I'm dressed today at a conference, that's comfortable to most people who are at the conference. But when I'm working out at 6 in the morning and I get on that elevator and I'm sweaty and I got on my hoodie, some people on the elevator who don't look like me might be a little uncomfortable with that because they don't know I'm the speaker based on my appearance. So I get what you're saying.
And in reality, this is the thing. This is the crazy thing. The YN and the young genius are often one and the same, right?
Okay.
Are often
Yep.
one and the
True.
same, because just because someone's environment has created does not speak to what is inside of them. And maybe if given
Yes.
a chance, if given the opportunity, if pulled to the side by someone like yourself or someone like Victor or someone like my husband or someone like, you know, some of my other friends, if pulled to the side and seeds were planted in that soil, it could take root, right? So
Yeah.
the problem is often we see that and we don't recognize the potential, but we have to, because we have to see it. We know the potential that is in ourselves. So you're right. It is not, it is, you can't, there is no differential situation. My son would often say to me, because he had, he got an award because he had a book published at 14. And he said, Mom,
Yeah.
different about me. It's not a big deal that my book was published at 14. He said, the difference is I had a mother who saw it and who recognized what can happen. He said there are a lot of other 14-year-old boys that could have had books published as well, but they just didn't have a mom who used to work at Barnes and Noble, who was also an author, who recognized and took her son's, talent and pushed for him.
Yeah.
There's nothing different about me than that other kid that's just as talented. He just doesn't have the same mom, or he doesn't have the same uncle or coach or mentor. And so I think that he's always reminding me, like, don't assume just because I'm this way. All of us, many of us are like this. We just not all of us have the opportunity. So I do appreciate that. And you're right.
Man, that's deep. Your son is brilliant to say that, because I'll say this. There are many more of our young people who are doing the right thing, who have those
Yeah.
aspirations, right, Victor? But a lot of times, their aspirations are smothered and are killed even in our communities, because we still have this stigma that when our young people are like your son or Victor's nieces and nephews or children or my son, when they're doing well, we still have facets in our own communities that say you acting like white people or you talk like white people. No. If watch this,
True.
I tell young people, I say this to young people publicly. Go look at my videos. I say, if somebody comes up to you and tell you that you acting white or you talking white, ask them this question. If talking white means I'm intelligent, what does it mean to talk black?
Mm.
If high aspirations means I'm acting white, what does it mean to act black? So I think as a community, we have to increase our own expectations, all right, in our own community for our young people, because our young people are brilliant. They are brilliant. They want to do better. And once again, I started out this interview with talking about validation. When we validate them as adults, right? A lot of times they will not go seek that validation in the wrong areas. But a lot of times, and I tell parents, stop calling your children, stop calling them things that are not on their birth certificate. Stop calling your kids out
Tell.
their name. You know, like, I'm just being real, y'all. This is
Preach.
this
Preach.
this is this is what this is about. That's why I
Yep.
love this program. Your listeners need to be not only they don't need to be tuning in. Everybody needs to be tuning in because y'all bring tough questions. Y'all bring solutions. We have to hold ourselves
Yeah.
accountable as a community. We have to
Exactly
hold
right. Yep.
ourselves accountable, right? And not
Exactly.
just in the homes. I'm talking about the village. I'm talking about at the football games. I'm telling black fathers, listen to me, black fathers, at these football games, football Friday night, I call it fifth quarter. What's fifth quarter? Fifth quarter is when black fathers, right? Black fathers stay when the game is over until all the young people have gotten in their cars and they're going home. So now, and that's what I'm saying. Like black fathers, we don't need to get in the car and we leave. We want to be in the parking lot, not just law enforcement. Let's be in the parking lot to make sure our children
Get
get
them
out of
safe.
these
Yep.
parking lots safely. You understand?
Yep.
That's what I'm
Yep.
talking about. That's what I call fifth quarter when black men show up. You know, I'm so proud. You know, the first day of school, you see tons of black men and organizations with black men welcoming these young people on the first day.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to 100 black men. Shout out to President Obama's My Brothers Keepers program, where I'm a coach, where we are coaching these young black boys and young black men. There's so many mentorship programs, Omega mentoring program with my fraternity, Omega Psi Phi. So many, you know, the black men in the church, the mosque, the Kingdom Halls. So I want to shout out all those black men who are doing that, who are standing up, who are mentoring, who are speaking life to young black men in the grocery stores, in the stores, in the parks. It's as simple as that. When you see a young black male, speak life into him.
I love
Speak life, because that might be the difference between him getting that high
True.
school diploma
True.
and that
Yeah.
degree versus him going to be incarcerated.
I agree. I agree. This wasn't even on the script today, but I saw something before we jumped on, and we got Brother Keith here today, Victor. So I feel like I can take a little bit of a turn, and he'll be able to follow me and see what this is,
Okay.
and we can kind of speak to it. So a friend of mine, actually Scorpio Mo, sent me he sent me a video with Finesse two times, and he's talking to his daughter in a public forum. This is out on, I believe, TikTok, and he's talking to her publicly because I guess they're estranged. And we know now everybody takes everything to social media.
Yes.
And so in this video, he is saying, you know, I'm there, I'm trying to be a father and discipline. And the mother doesn't have the same thought pattern as he does, right? And he said, I don't like seeing my daughter. I'm not going to support seeing you. And I'm just paraphrasing because he used different language. But he's like, I'm not going to support seeing you twerk and show your body and do things with your body online. I'm not okay with that. As your father, I'm not okay with that. And I don't like seeing it. And I don't want you to be doing that. And until you stop and we can, you know, realize that, you know, I'm here for you, then, you know, you'll just, life is going to teach you some lessons. And I thought to myself, because I understand his passion as a father. I have a lot of male friends. My husband has daughters. I know that men hold their daughters and their wives, they hold them in a certain severity, right? With reverence in a different space. But as a Black woman, I would just say, and I say this in love to my brothers, to Finesse, to different hip hop artists and influencers, when you are a father of a daughter, and you want her to act as you tell her, but you are online promoting and work and promoting and celebrating other women twerking, other women showing their bodies. Now, this may not be your wife, and it may not be your daughter, it may not be your mother, but they see you. You're the example of you celebrating other women being naked, other women being presenting themselves as whores and side chicks and all this, and then you are upset later when your daughter is replicating that behavior. I'm not saying that it's your fault, but what I am saying is that as a Black woman speaking to Black men who I love, I would hope that some of you would start to see that what I am feeding and showing, I'm showing an example to my daughter. She sees these women being celebrated by men like myself, and then later I'm angry and I'm chastising her for behaving in ways that of women that I put in my video, women that I've given money to. You go to a club and we see strippers and women doing these things, celebrated, given money, put on pedestals in a certain forum, and then you don't understand why your daughter or your nieces want to replicate that lifestyle. I'm asking you to take some accountability, and the next time you're throwing money on a girl or you're doing something with a girl that's acting in a way that you would not want your daughter to behave, think about the message that your actions are sending to your community.
I couldn't have said it better, Christal. And listen,
Yeah.
and Christal, I think you're even more validated being that Black queen, that Black wife, that Black mother yourself, that Black auntie. I get it.
Yep.
I get what you're saying, and I understand where my good brother Finesse is coming from. But you're right. It's a deeper issue there. You got to think about that, because art imitates life. Is that right? Is it art imitates life? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. That's right.
and if my son would have grown up seeing me curse out his mom,
He
and
was a,
then he's cursing out his girlfriend, and I tell him, hey man, that's not cool, that ain't good, but the fact that he saw me doing that, then I'm validating that behavior. I'm actually letting him know it's okay. If I'm physically abusive to a woman, then I'm telling my son, my nephews, it's okay, because this is what I'm doing. I'm not doing it and then going back apologizing and saying, look, I was wrong, son. I was wrong, nephews, and then it was a momentary lapse. No, this is a pattern. And once again, it's not it no longer can we say don't do as I do, because that it goes, do as I say do, because once again, out of fear, they will do as we say do, but out of our example, they will do as we do. So perhaps, good brother, and I'm not saying this is the case, but if your daughter knows that lifestyle, if you validated that lifestyle, if you put your stamp of approval on it, okay, then there's something in your daughter's subconscious that might believe it's okay for me, because this is the lifestyle that my dad, watch this, promoted. This is the
yeah.
lifestyle that my dad approved of. Okay. And you might turn around as a father and say, oh, yeah, I was just doing that to take care of you. No, no, no. Because your daughter might say, well, I'm just doing this to take care of me. You understand?
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
You see? So it's, hey, y'all. So it's a slippery slope. And let me say this as a father. One of the things I can tell my brother to do, because I've done this with my own son, and guess what? It wasn't easy, but I've apologized to my son, Victor. I've apologized to
Oh,
Keon
me too.
so much through the years. And I've even had other adults, even some family members say, why would you apologize to him? That's a child. I
Yeah.
said, because I'm teaching him
Yep.
that he should be treated with
Hmm.
with respect and humanity. I'm
Yep.
teaching him that. So I'm gonna start that off by saying, son, I apologize, because no adult ever apologized to me. Okay. All right. And
Tell me
so
about it. Yeah.
I'm gonna say this, bruh. And I love you, brother Finesse. I love you, brother. I know you're a great brother. But perhaps if you haven't done this, brother, perhaps you need to have that offline
Mhm.
daddy-daughter date, where you then
Mm.
talk to your own daughter and talk to her and be deep with your daughter and be transparent and be real and apologize to your daughter because you were gifted enough, right? That she didn't have to see some of that. In other words, okay, that it could have been a different scenario. But obviously, if your daughter is hurting, okay, isolating her because of her life choices now will not bring y'all any closer. Okay. All right. So I will just, and I know you might be saying, well, who are you to tell me? No, brother, I'm just giving some love because I would love for you and your daughter to have a great relationship. Okay. So that might mean you having that transparent conversation with her offline, off social media, where you're able, as a father, one who loves her, okay, for the long term. And you just apologize for some of the choices you made because I had to do that with my own son. I had to do that with my own son. And it's not easy, but I'm still apologizing to him to this day. And that has brought us closer.
I agree. I think that's hard. And I think there's so many times that your lifestyle, kids don't understand the difference between, oh, this is a woman over here that I just do this with, and that's somebody's daughter as well. So I think the idea of, and then too, at the time that when you have children, especially if you love your children, which most parents do, you grow, right? So at the time that you doing certain actions, you might not have realized what the consequences of those actions are. So I think there's always room to grow. I actually feel love as well. I really hope that if this does reach him, that it's received in a positive way because it's meant that. But I know that seeing his daughter doing certain things, definitely, because I've seen men say, how could my daughter do that? And I was like, but y'all realize that's somebody's daughter.
Yeah.
I want to say something about that. Taking it off of Finesse. As a black man, as a husband, as a father, and as a son, I don't understand. I mean, I get it, but I don't understand how men could just go to a strip club and just think it's women are just nothing. And I'm just like, you have a mom, you have a sister, you have a daughter. Would you want them doing what you're sitting here enjoying? But I understand if you turn the lights on and remove the alcohol, you will think different because then that's what it is. You go into these places, they give you alcohol, and then they turn the lights off, and it's a different mindset. But I just we can't promote this type of lifestyle if we want different for our communities. We cannot. I mean, and that goes with human trafficking, that goes with all the different things, and we put it in our music, we put it in our entertainment, and we expect our young boys to do different. We expect our young men to respect women when we're showing strip clubs and strippers and all this other stuff. Now, that's a lifestyle and a business that I understand been around for centuries, and I'm not going to put it on women only, but we as black men have to do different and show our black boys different. We don't have to do the things that promote a certain lifestyle that harm other people. We should be promoting things that uplift people, and that will change the community. Now, if Finesse wants to do different, show your daughter different. Show a different thing. But I understand that makes money in our community, but we have to do different if we want different. That's how I see it.
I love it. Christal, I don't know if I have time, but I do want to tap into, because the show last week with Young Thug, man, that was great. That listen, y'all. I'm going to go in and confess. I was actually on a virtual appointment. I was training, and I had to turn my camera off, and I had to turn my camera and my mic off. I had to give them some team building exercises. Because I started to tell them, y'all just tune in to Victor and Christal. I couldn't do that, because I was under contract.
We appreciate you.
Right. But listen, y'all, it was so good. And one of the things that stuck out to me was, as a school district and as a school, okay, you got to be held accountable for who you bring before children as well. And then let me get a little deeper. And people get upset when I say these types of things. Would Young Thug have been permitted to come to a predominantly white school and talk to little children like that? See, think about that. Right.
No,
See,
no.
we just because a person has the term celebrity attached to their name doesn't mean that they are a speaker like the three of us who understand content, who understand knowing the power of your audience, right? So he wasn't talking to high school scholars, students. You know, you
No.
talking to these babies that are very impressionable. They are very impressionable. And so my thing is, when you there should be some guidelines given. And if the school says we did give guidelines, well, then you just cut the mic. As the administration, you actually walk up and say, we want to thank such and such. Let's give him a hand. And you shut that assembly down because those kids are too impressionable. Anytime, let me just be real to my athletes, my celebrities, volunteers. If you're going to speak at an elementary school with any children, but primarily black children, you need to be talking about them getting good grades. Okay, you talk about their character, talk about them being leaders, but don't be talking about hey, y'all go get that bag and yada yada. Nah, that no. But yes, but the school. Listen, and I don't look, and I'm not downing the school. I'm not downing the administration or the school district. I'm just saying, just because it's a celebrity doesn't mean that they have the wherewithal to stand before children and be able to put positive thoughts and ideas in that child's head or those children's heads and minds. Because guess what? I've learned whatever you tell our children, 9 times out of 10, they're going to believe it. So you need to go in there and tell them that they're great, that you can learn, that you can be anything. All you got to do is work hard. You understand? Those are the things that we need to be putting in the minds. Watch this, of children who often are getting negative information outside of school many
Yep.
times.
Right. And you said a powerful thing, like kids are going to believe what they're told, but when which especially that is amplified when it's someone that comes that they admire, that they hear on the radio.
Yes.
See on TV.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of times, as a parent, your child knows you, they love you, but they you're not cool. You're not influencing them at a certain point of their life. And so when they see somebody that they know from social media and the music industry, and somebody that has a lot of influence, and it's kind of eerie because what Young Thug was saying is most important to be famous is his reality, because
His reality, right?
He's there because he's famous. If he didn't have music, if his lifestyle was the same, but he wasn't a star because of music, he would never be there. He's there because he needed to do community service. But the fact that I think that he probably will get to another place in his journey, but he's not there as of yet. As of that moment, he's telling these children the most important thing was to be famous. And that shows he has some more growth, to do in his journey. But it's
absolutely
just premature to have him there sharing that with young people that are extremely impressionable and are going to take that and probably it works probably against what their parents and the teachers are attempting to instill.
Absolutely. And I applaud you. I applaud Young Thug nephew. I love you, nephew. And look, send Young Thug to some high schools then. Do you understand? Send them to let them do the community service in the high schools. Don't go to an elementary school, okay?
I would not even say high school, because that's still.
Well, you're right. You're right. I know guess what? There's some colleges that would love to have and watch this, that would love to have Young Thug to come as a speaker, okay? And not necessarily do a song or whatever, but that's so very important. But once again, yes, our young people are impressionable. And that's why it's so very important that we speak life into them and we give them all of the different career paths, because not everybody's going to college. Some of them are graduating as entrepreneurs. Some of them are going right into the workforce. Whatever your path is, go hard. Go hard. Look, whether it's my son, my nephew, when I talk to young people now, there are about 6 different paths that they can take or more. All I tell them is this: go hard and surround yourself with the right people. That's important. Like Victor said, surround yourself and watch this. Protect your peace of mind. I tell you, look, I'm telling elementary school kids that, y'all. Protect your peace of mind. That's why in schools we got to have emotional intelligence. emotional intelligence exercises. We don't need to start every day with academics. We need to start every day in every school with mental health, a pulse check
You're right.
on
You're
all
right.
children
Yeah.
and young people. Yeah.
Before we
You're
go,
right. Yeah.
before we get into our affirmation of the day, because we do an affirmation here every day, Keith, I want
Yeah.
you to share the affirmations that you said every parent needs to be having every child, telling their children every day. What affirmations do children need to be saying every
Okay.
day?
Every day, and I want y'all to do it to DJ, the late great my boy DJ Unk. Put on "Walk It Out," the instrumental version. "Walk It Out," and these are the affirmations you need to say for your children every day, and y'all need to do it together. Even with young people, I love myself. I believe in myself. I'm proud of myself. I'm a genius. I can. I will. I must, and I got this. I love myself. I believe in myself. I'm proud of myself. I'm a genius. I can. I will. I must. And I got this. And you can even say, we can, we will, we must, we got this. Christal, you've seen me. When I go in these schools, I come in with the music, y'all. I'm in my 50s and I go in rapping. I can do all of this. You understand what I'm saying?
That's what
Whatever
I'm
it
talking
takes for
about.
me to reach these, whatever it takes for me to reach these kids and young people, that's what I'm talking about. So look, when they doing all this, look, I know it all, Christal, and I make a difference. So yeah, let's affirm those 8 affirmations. I love myself. I believe in myself. I'm proud of myself. I'm a genius. I can. I will. I must. I got this. And as a family, we can. We will. We must. And we got this. And then not only say the affirmations, but break down what it means to love yourself. So then you don't have to be validated outside the home as much because we all want to be validated, right? Hey, when Brother Dennis came on and was talking about my fedora, that made me feel good, right? So when I see Christal and she give me that hug as my sister, that I'm validated. When Victor tells me, bro, you look good. And that's another thing we have to
Course.
do as a
Yeah.
people. Let's start validating each other more. Okay, watch this. Let's stop spreading the shade or throwing shade, and let's be the shade for each other. Let's be a covering for each other. Stop throwing shade and be some shade.
Be some shade. You better say that.
Yeah.
You're doing all the dances and everything.
I love it. I love it.
I love it. Thank you so much. Before you leave, I want you to
Yes.
speak with us about our affirmation for today is
Yes.
I embrace my passion, realizing it is leading me towards a higher version of myself. Again, I embrace my passion, realizing it is leading me towards a higher version of myself. The quote that goes along with that is from the one and only Oprah Winfrey: follow your passion. It will lead you to your purpose. Victor and I, both of us have our passion as part of our passion, and the purpose has led us here to the Reprint.
Yep.
And to all the other things that both of us do. Victor's an the best graphic designer.
Thank you.
He's amazing. And it's because he's passionate about it. I'll be like, Victor, we just need to get it done. Victor's like, no, ma'am, it needs to be right. It has to look right. The aesthetic has to be right, because that's his passion and that's his purpose. And when I'm writing something, I know I want something to be, I want it to touch, whether 2 people read it or 2 million people read it. I want to speak, to do that. When I see you out, I know that you're in your purpose, right? I want all of us to share really quickly before, I know we only have a couple of minutes. How did we find our purpose? Because I think sometimes maybe some of the people that are watching or that will listen to this on Spotify, they may be questioning, like, how do they know what their purpose? How do you find how do you go from passion to purpose? We'll start with Victor.
I say I found my passion and my purpose by listening to those around me that loved me. So a lot of times people don't know what they're good at until someone tells you. If you pay attention to those that love you, you will hear what it is. It could be hospitality, it could be education, it could be speaking, it could be cooking, it could be whatever it is. Those around you that love you, if you pay attention and you tap into those around you, you will definitely see what your passions and purpose in life is and how it affects others. That's what I say. That's mine. Keith.
Oh, I love that. GOODJOB. Good job, brother. I love that.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
for me, I've been talkative all my life. I was labeled special ed because they said I talk too much. Okay. I was talkative all of my life. And once again, Victor's right. There were people who spoke life into me. You know, whether I was in theater or in class, wherever I was always talking. And that has led me to being a world-class speaker, author, and coach. So I will say to parents, whatever it is your child is doing a lot of and they do it well, don't necessarily shut that down as long as it's, don't shut it down. That might be something that needs to be nurtured. If he's taking the spoons and he beating on the table, he might be a world-class drummer. If she running around the house just singing and you say, girl, shut up. No, don't tell her to shut up. Get her some vocal lessons, okay? Because she might be a world-class singer. So for me, it was talking that led me to being an educator, then stepping out on faith in the broader world as a full-time professional speaker. So that was one of my gifts, always talking. And I'll say this, Christal, I had the passion, but I didn't discover my purpose. My purpose discovered me. And so that was very important as well. So I've been talking my entire life, and now my talking is what has elevated me to the level I'm on right now.
I love that.
Love that. You, Christal?
I would say this. I think for me, I would say like writing is like breathing to me. It helped me when I was younger and I was going through things as a kid. Because, we don't realize we don't acknowledge that kids can be stressed out because of what their parents are doing. So, and I know I stressed my kids out, and I'm a mom, we had some different things happen in our family. And whenever I would need an escape as a kid, I would write. And then I learned that I was good at it because teachers would say things. And so then that validates and affirms you. And it was just my happy place. And so I learned that I'm happier when I'm doing what I'm naturally good at and what I'm practicing. Because I know if you don't use your talent, sometimes they can get dull, right? So when I'm writing and I'm doing, it comes naturally. When I'm reading and writing, it comes naturally. And it gives me a sense of I guess accomplishment that I'm doing something. Jala asked, is our purpose our talent, what we're good at? And I think for a lot of people, it is what comes natural. I think whatever gift God has placed in you, a lot of times you may not know how it can help or how that can lead to a passion, which can become aligned with your purpose. But I think if you lean into the things that make you feel good, like there are things that I'm good at that don't make me feel good like this stuff, right? Writing is something that I have to get it out. And I remember my mother was intuitive enough to notice that gift and to challenge me and to keep me doing it. So she would tell me to sit down, and if we had to give something, we didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up. So if we had to give a gift at a birthday or a wedding, my mom would have me write them a poem. And I was like, okay, so that was a lot of, first of all, it was pressure because it's like my mom believes in me. So now I know that I have to do something that's good, but I also realized that there was value in it because we use my poems as a gift. So if somebody would do something for us and we couldn't, my uncle got married, we can't afford to buy him a gift, Christal will write a poem. So that immediately showed me that there was value in that gift. So I think I will always be thankful to my mom for showing me that. But to answer your question, Jal, I think that it is what it is because it's aligned with the scripture where that Jesus talking to his disciples, and he talks about the master giving the servant a talent and one goes and buries it. And I think sometimes we don't recognize what it is about us that is different. We try to smush that down, smash it down or move away from it. But whatever it is that you do well is a gift that's been placed inside you. Victor has a gift for being able to design and create. And thank you. It is. And so that is something that was, I'm sure when he was younger, he probably knew he was good, but because he does it.
Exactly.
The same thing with Keith and how he speaks to people, and he's able to affirm people just in the way he talks to them can change the person's where they feel that day, And so I know for me with writing, it is if I've had people that I've written a story about come back later and say, wow, I didn't even know that was me you were writing about. That
yes.
makes me because it's my way. And I think the beautiful thing is all of us, the three of us on today, have different talents, right? But each is important. There's no one that is more important than the other, but it's a different talent that we were born with, that we have learned to embrace and to allow to connect us with our purpose, our God-given purpose. And so that's the meaning of today's affirmation. Everybody has one. There is no one on this earth that has not been given a purpose and a passion and a talent. So I encourage you today to embrace your passion, realizing it is leading you towards a higher version of yourself. When you are doing what makes you feel good and what makes others feel good, that is when you are the best. You are in the best place for yourself. I don't even have to ask Keith how he feels when his words, he can see what they have done to not even just a young person, but just to a person, to another person. When he can see that, he says GOOD, good job, and the person turns around like, you talking to me? I've been that person. I know it makes him feel good when he can see what that does to somebody else. And when Victor, we give someone a magazine and they say, oh my God, this looks amazing. I see Victor's chest puff up, it feels good because he's getting back. It does. But that's, you're getting return on that God has placed in you. And so that's what today, is all about. And then understanding that as a news outlet, platform that shares news, I also think it is our responsibility to be one that not only shares the bad, but also offers a way to digest that, right? And solutions. And so, Keith, we thank you so much for joining us today and for being here.
Thank you.
We're gonna have you come back as a monthly guest.
Yes. Look, I'm open to that. And Christal, let me say this is real, because this is on a universal level. You touched the lives of so many women everywhere. I know that, you know that, but I have to salute you because you are literally changing the narrative for Black women who somehow have given up on themselves. And when they see you, when they see you, I know it's Christal, but I like to say Christal. You know what I'm saying? They see, listen to me. They see you, and you are helping them increase their impact, their influence, their income, and their self-worth. And so that's so very important. And you do it through your writing, and you do it through how you show up. And that's so very important. That's so sister, I have to say to you, and I have to give you your flowers, as you are, what Maya Angelou said, phenomenally phenomenal, that phenomenal woman. I have to, as a Black man, as your brother, I have to salute you as well, as you edified Victor and myself and all Black women out there. Did you see what Christal did? She edified her Black brothers. Edify a Black man today, but I must edify you as a Black woman. I must edify you because, you are the womb, and WOMB, and great things evolve from the womb, and womb stands for word of mouth, baby. Word of mouth, baby. If we can just spread those positive words like that affirmation, embrace your passion. So I love it. And this is the reprint, y'all. Guess what? Y'all saw the print. Y'all right? Y'all thought the print was good, but this is the reprint. This is the new and improved version. Okay? The reprint.
There you go. And I think that's a mic drop, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Keith, tell us that Monday. What's that Monday acronym?
Yeah, Monday. My optimism now declares a yes. My optimism now declares a yes. Can I tell them how they can find me, Christal?
Yes,
Please do.
Yeah, please hit me up on Instagram and TikTok at Keith L. Brown _, Keith L. Brown _ Instagram and TikTok, Facebook, Keith L. Brown 1911, and Mr. I'm Possible. So it's always a joy. And I would love to come back monthly with the family, the dynamic duo. It could be a tremendous trio, at least once a month, the dynamic duo.
Yes.
So COODJOB, good job. Yeah.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Keith.
So much. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Love that. We got to have Keith back once a month.
I know, that was good. That was good, yeah.
So our audience knows when my optimism declares a yes too. Jala, thank you so much. And yes, everyone's optimism declares a yes today. What a wonderful way to start the week. Beautiful way to start the week.
I know, right? That was a powerful conversation. I mean,
Yeah.
even though Dennis came in and left, but
Yeah.
it was Keith was
Dennis had to
yeah,
get the news, but
yeah, we needed this.
yeah, we did. We needed that's a great way to start your Monday. If you're listening to this on the replay, make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you think about today's conversation. If you're listening via Spotify, leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought about our good brother Keith and the conversation and about finesse and all of it. Just let us know what you
All
think.
of it, yeah.
We appreciate your comments, and please like and share this so that other people can get the word that we all got today. Please like and share, leave a comment so the algorithm sees that you were here. And we will be back on Wednesday with an all new episode of the Reprint. And I will be back later tonight with Married at First Sight. Mo and I will be back Wednesday night. But Victor, we got some stuff coming. Say it again.
Black business of the day. We didn't do that. Black business of the day. Black business.
Black business of the day is Pattern Beauty, the vibrating flat iron and heat essentials. You guys know that Pattern Beauty is the brainchild of the beautiful Tracy Ellis Ross. I've used these products. I love these products. They actually have wide tooth combs that and blow dryers. There's actual line there you go, the line with shampoo, conditioner, curl gel, moisture milk, amazing. And they're for all types of hair of color. There's the flat iron and the blow dryer. There's primer with the blow dryer bundle that I love before I got my hair locked. But I believe they actually have a lock comb as well. It's just for all types of hair for people of color. Please check them out. I'm a big fan. If you're like me, you're a big fan of Tracy Ellis Ross. And I love the fact that she actually focused on this because we have different textured hair, has so many different curl patterns, so many different colors and textures and thickness and all these different things. And there's something for all types of hair, for juicy and joyful curls of all kind in this product line. So try Pattern Beauty and let us know what you think.
Yeah, thank you. That was beautiful. That was that was a good black business of the day. Yeah, business of the day. Yeah,
it's beautiful, and the products are. I mean, of course, it's Tracy Ellis Ross. Of course, the products are going to be amazing. But you guys try it out. Blondie says, I absolutely enjoyed the show today. Well, we're excited about that. Blondie,
thank you
so much for saying that. I think it got us all off to a great start. So we're going to, make this week a winning week for you. My optimism now declares a yes. I love that. I'm definitely going to put that on my wall for Monday, as opposed to being, and I started this saying, oh my gosh, the weekend was too short, but now I feel fired up.
I know, right? Me too.
I feel fired up. So, all right, guys, we love you. And we will
Thank
see
you
you guys
9
a.m. on the West Coast, 12 noon on the East Coast. This is the Reprint. We'll see you guys back here Monday.